So, everybody, we're going to be talking about 28 years later. I had so much fun with this one. I was very surprised at how deep this movie was. It was a 7.2 out of 10 on my scales, but it's in the top tier category. This is great filmmaking here. So I put it in the top tier category due to the depth of story that our main character has to learn throughout this movie. But at the same time, there are elements of the film in a few different places that feel goofy and cartoonish and just silly overall. And that is what keeps it out of the top spot for me. So for this one, we're going to do the positives on the front end. We're going to do the negatives on the back end. We're not going to do any spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, you are safe to watch. Let's start off with the visuals. So right off the top, the performances were very good in every single role. What's more important than that, the cinematography of this one is so much better than anything else that has ever been done in this franchise. The second movie in particular, if you go back and watch 28 Weeks Later, that one really used the handheld camera rigs to really create a sense of chaos throughout the movie, and you can feel it if you're watching. This movie is much less chaotic in tone, but at the same time, it has the same level of tension of any other horror movie that you'll ever probably watch. Talking about the story is the standout part of this review because it is so much deeper than I expected it to be. I went into this expecting to see zombie madness, and by the time the credits had rolled, I was thinking about my life and my death. Things like, what does it mean to let go of a loved one? It made me think about what it means to honor someone's life regardless of the circumstances. In short, I was thinking about a whole bunch of things that I did not plan to go in there and think about, and that's crazy. But I couldn't help thinking about those things because the way those things were presented in the story was so well done and also pivotal to our young character that we're following through most of the movie. Moving on to pace. Pace is another strong category for this one, and every category is actually a strong category outside of rewatchability. It's not a movie that I would pay to see again, and it's not something that I would really want to revisit a bunch of times because, again, it made me think a bunch of thoughts that I didn't want to think. But in relation to the pace of this, it's great. It never stays too long in one place. And even though they get their point across and they get the thought of a scene across very quickly, it never feels rushed. So, very quick spoiler here. I'm going to keep things very vague so I don't ruin anything for anyone. So, one of the characters in this is speaking to a medical professional. And in that conversation with the medical professional, all it took was a few glances and some well-placed shots between those two characters, and you get exactly what's going to happen next. And these two characters have already agreed on what is the next steps that they have to take to make the next thing happen. And it was conveyed so fast and it was done so well, but not in a way that felt rushed. It felt perfect. They made eye contact. They instantaneously knew, like, hey, this is what has to happen next. And then they slowly proceeded to make things happen. And you transition from one moment to the next so fast, so naturally. And it's just well done, in my opinion. Now, on to the negatives. I do have to mention the things that I feel like were silly and just kind of nonsensical that happened in this film that I wouldn't say took me out of it, but it did change my opinion of the movie, and it's only a handful of scenes. If you're on TikTok and you search 28 days later, you might see 28 inches later because there's a lot of penis jokes and like penis on the screen, which is wild, but it's there and it's distracting to some people. It's not really distracting to me, but it was a very blatant choice, and it's more than once, and it's very blatant, and it's like that's what y'all associate with certain things. Can't say much more without spoiling it, but it's a very deliberate choice. And that's all I can say. The more important, really and truly distracting thing in this movie is the last 2 minutes of the movie. And when I say the last 2 minutes, I mean right before the credits roll, you have a scene, an action scene that is presented in such an off-putting way and changes the tone of things so drastically that I can't go without mentioning the fact that that's tacked on at the end. And it kind of leaves the door open for them to explore more in the world, like reinvigorating the franchise. But at the same time, putting it here feels or felt a little bit off to me. The only other major negative is that there's a horror axiom that me and my friend like to talk about when we talk about movies. You can't have a horror movie without one person making horrible decisions. And our main character makes outlandish decision very early on in this movie. And in this case, just like any other case, if that character doesn't make that decision, then we don't have the rest of the movie. Like it should just cut off wherever that decision is made. But because they make the foolish decision, we get to see the rest of the adventure. And in most cases, the decisions are so stupid and so blatant, the movie has to do a lot to live up to justifying that decision. This one does. I like the adventure that we get to see our character go on due to his incredibly dumb decision. But it still don't change the fact that I hate to see characters make dumb decisions in films. Let me know your thoughts about any of those thoughts that I have in the comment section if you choose to do so. I thank you so much. If you've watched this far, I deeply appreciate every view, every like, every comment, every share. And that's all we got for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.